On this week's show, we have an exclusive look inside the new studios of Lynchburg's newest radio station.
A leading biologist is coming to campus. We have the breaking news ahead.
Also, we'll get caught up on the music scene from Sydnor Auditorium.
And we'll examine the first ever LC Day and give you a sneak peek at the Relay for Life highlights.
All that, plus Becca Loftis with an update from around the world, Justin Priputin and the world of sports, and Will Stafford's stormy forecast.
INLC starts right now. Hi LC, I'm Mandy Ramirez.
And I'm RJ Burnett. This past week, 3 members of our staff were given an all-access pass to tour Lynchburg's newest radio station.
93.7 KHF is the station's name, and we sat down with GM Mike McKendry for more about Lynchburg's new choice for music.
93.7 KHF.
That's the newest sound Lynchburg residents are switching to. The new 93.7 KHF is a brand new radio station built from the ground up. Located in the 16th floor of the Bank of the Janes building, the station plays 80s, 90s, and now music. However, General Manager Mike McKendry says it wasn't his first choice.
Our actual first choice for a format was going to be a straight-ahead new rock alternative. We decided kind of at the last minute to morph it into what it is now. But the positioning, the identifier, I mean, notice we're not called, the Buzz or the Edge or the Revolution or something like that. Something that would lend itself to being an alternative station. We wanted it to be very, very simple, clean. 93.7 KHF, your music.
The station is completely live and local, which is better for you, the listener.
You can catch things, you can talk about things, you can interact with the listeners, you can take calls and put them out over the air. There's a couple stations in town that in the market that actually do interact with their audience. There's a couple stations that don't, and so what's the difference between an iPod or a terrestrial radio station? The difference is in its personality. The difference is in how the audience interacts with the radio station, and that liaison is the disc jockey.
The station is currently in the process of gaining all of its on-air personalities, but when it does, McKendry says he wants this to be
Lynchburg's radio station. We want it to be the most listened to, one of the top stations.
Hornet Pride is well represented at the new station. One of the station's morning show hosts is a graduate of Lynchburg College. So the next time you're in the car or in the dorm, turn the dial to 93.7. You never know. You might even hear a fellow Hornet on the airwaves. Will Stafford, INLC.
Dr. Peter H. Raven, one of the world's leading botanists and advocates of conservation and biodiversity, will speak at Lynchburg College at noon on April 11th in Memorial Ballroom Hall Campus Center. Dr. Raven, President Emeritus of the Missouri Botanical Garden, will speak at the Senior Symposium on how many species will survive the 21st century. The lecture is free and open to the public, but seating is limited.
Friday was a very busy day on campus, and you didn't even have to be on campus to witness it. That's because Friday was the first annual LC Day, an effort generated by the college's Communication Marketing Department, Steve Arnold and Deborah Blanchard. Students could post anything dubbed from PG-13 to a timeline online, and people from anywhere with an internet connection could view it.
On Saturday night, another concert graced the halls of Sydnor Performance Hall.
It should come to no surprise that you were there, RJ.
Well, Mandy, it wouldn't be a concert without me, and here's the report I filed from Sydnor.
There's a calm surrender to the rush of day, when the heat of the rolling wind can be turned away. An enchanted moment, and it sees me through. It's enough for this restless warrior just to know. And can you feel the love tonight? Tonight is where we are. It's enough. This wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far. And can you feel the love?
Now for international news, here's Becca Loftis.
On Thursday, April 7th, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck Japan. This was an aftershock in response to the March 11th earthquake and tsunami. Approximately 283 people were estimated injured, with only 2 deaths. The quake left 250,000 people without power. However, there was no additional damage to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Workers were evacuated from the plant for 8 hours, but returned Friday to continue repairs on the damaged reactors. Workers continue to pump water into the reactors in order to cool them. Nitrogen has been added to the #1 reactor in order to counteract the buildup of flammable hydrogen, which could lead to an explosion. Power stations will now be required to have 2 diesel generators as backup power for each reactor unit instead of the current 1 generator required. A Japanese researcher said that residents in eastern Japan can and should expect more aftershocks within the next year. Added to the roughly 13,000 deaths from the March 11th earthquake and tsunami and 15,000 people still missing, there seems to be no break for Japan.
Now for quick news briefs this week. The National Weather Service has confirmed 2 tornadoes touched down in Pulaski County Friday night. The strongest, an EF2, had winds that reached between 125 and 130 miles per hour. The other tornado measured as an EF1 with winds maxing out at 110 miles per hour. These are the first documented tornadoes in the county since the National Weather Service began its records in the 1950s. The Virginia State Police say 57 homes in the town of Pulaski are completely destroyed, while 8 people have reported minor injuries. We'll have complete details coming up in a few minutes.
A jury has recommended Paul Harris spend 37 years in prison. He faces 16 years for each of the 2 aggravated and voluntary manslaughter charges, 5 years for permanently injuring another driver, and 1 year for driving drunk. Harris has been in jail since the crash in August. The sentence accounts for the time he's already served.
Country music singer and Lynchburg native Phil Vassar's back home. Fans packed the EC Glass Auditorium to see him perform Thursday night. Vassar took the stage to raise money for the Miller Home for Girls. This is the 3rd year in a row that Vassar's helped the home, donating all concert proceeds. Vassar says he's excited to see how much he can raise for the Miller Home. He says it's a cause that's near and dear to his heart because he has daughters of his own. Learn more about the Miller Home at millerhomeoflynchburg.org.
Well, for much of the campus, RJ, including you and me, and half of the staff, we spent Friday night and Saturday morning, in my case, for Really for Life.
That's right, you had the 3 to 6 shift, and I didn't feel much better myself about doing 12 to 2, but I had a good time.
As did I. Plus, it was for a good cause. That's why INLC will be releasing a special Relay for Life episode in the next few weeks for our online audience.
Our cameras were rolling for the entire event, from the storm that brought it indoors, the closing ceremonies, and everything in between. And I can't wait to see the final product.
Me neither. And of course, we will let you know when the episode is posted online. Now, for an update in sports, let's head to the man responsible for moving half the relay inside, Sports Director Justin Priputin.
What's up, LC? Just Priputin here with your weekly update in the world of sports. The men's lacrosse team beat Greensboro College 21-5 Saturday, April 9th on Schellenberger Field. The Hornets were led by Andrew Wilfong with 5 goals and Dylan Huff with 4. 10 different players scored for LC as they improved their winning streak to 3 games. The Hornets traveled to CNU for a non-conference game Wednesday, April 13th. The women's lacrosse team beat Guilford College 17-3 Saturday, April 9th in an ODAC conference game. The team was led by Leslie Buckingham with 5 goals. The Hornets took a 12-1 lead into the half and added 5 more in the second half. The ladies will put their undefeated ODAC record on the line as they travel to face off against Randolph-Macon Wednesday, April 13th. The softball team completely destroyed Sweetbriar College in ODAC doubleheader action Friday, April 8th by the scores of 16-0 and 28-0. In Game 1, the Hornets scored 5 runs in the first and second innings and 6 more in the third. The offensive power came off the bats of Taylor Walker, Katie Bruce, and Cassie Phillips, each hitting a home run. Things didn't change in Game 2, with the Hornets scoring 13 runs in the first inning. Rachel Gallagher, Ashley Hohenberger, Amanda Parker, and Logan Ann Gitman all hit home runs, with Gitman's being a grand slam. The baseball team split its doubleheader against Bridgewater College Saturday, April 9th, losing Game 1 5-2 and winning Game 2 4-1. Bridgewater scored one run in the first and then 2 more in each of the 5th and 6th innings. LC scored twice in the 9th, but they couldn't keep the comeback alive. LC struck first in Game 2 by scoring a run in the first inning and then then again in the third to retake the lead. The Hornets face ODAC rival Emory and Henry College April 16th in doubleheader action. Other news and notes, the MLB season is underway, with the biggest stories being the downfall of the Red Sox and the rise of the Orioles. And the NBA and NHL playoffs start up later in the week. That's it for me. I'm Jess Priputin. Back to you guys.
Now for your stormy weather details with Chief Forecaster Will Stafford.
Now from the LC Storm Center, here is Chief Forecaster Will Stafford.
We'll start out with the unbelievable amount of damage in Pulaski County. Tornadoes aren't really uncommon in Virginia, but an EF2 tornado is uncommon. And with some digging around in the climate books we checked out, a tornado really has never touched down in Pulaski County until Friday. Believe it or not, this was the exact system that brought us the storm at Relay for Life as it was getting underway. The reason why Pulaski County got a destructive tornado and we got a stronger garden-type variety storm is because we were in a cool air wedge, also known as cold air damming, all associated with the stationary front slicing the area in half. North of the front 40s, south of the front we saw 70s on Friday. However, that was short-lived. Sunday we're reaching mid-80s in town. That'll carry over into Monday. However, deja vu, really, another front coming in from the west. As hot as we are, that's going to act as fuel for these storms, and they could come in during the overnight again with straight-line winds, hail, and maybe tornadoes again with this system coming in Monday night into Tuesday. Tuesday back down to the 60s. That's another indication of a vigorous system coming through when you have a 20-degree swing in 2 days. Then another dry and cool week until Friday when another chance of showers, maybe some storms, all in a very similar pattern to last week. Remember, with severe weather, the Facebook page will keep you informed. Go like our page, search INLC Weather on Facebook. Mandy and Archie.
Thanks, Will.
That's our broadcast for this week.
Coming up in the next few weeks, INLC will have a very special segment, which I'm told involves animals.
I was told that too. Not sure I want to know any more after that, but you all definitely want to tune in to see it.
In the meantime, news 24/7 at facebook.com/INLC.
Till next week, I'm RJ Burnett.
And I'm Mandy Ramirez. See you next week, LC.